So my goal with this video was like super cozy, super comfy vibes, and like my outfit is right. Like I'm very comfy, very cozy, but I'm literally sitting on the very edge of this couch because little boy had to come up here and he just needed the couch. But anyway, welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm very excited about this video because since I announced my pregnancy, I haven't just done a sit down Q&A chat, what's been happening, the behind the scenes. Because obviously I did my first trimester vlog, but there's a lot that wasn't discussed, a lot that wasn't addressed. I asked you guys on Instagram to give me your questions and you guys had a lot of good ones, a lot of the same ones. So a lot of people are wondering the same thing and I figured we could just dive right in. So number one, congrats. Were you guys trying? If not, when were you going to start trying? So this is a very interesting question that I think caused a lot of confusion because if you guys have been following my journey, you know I really didn't think this was possible for me. I just didn't think I would be able to get pregnant naturally or to be able to get pregnant, period. Actually, and that's a pun. I've just always had period problems. I haven't had a regular one. I went 7 months without a period right before the cycle that got me pregnant. I got one period in the past 7 months, and that was the cycle in which I got pregnant. And I know a lot of people have commented saying, well, you could still ovulate without your period, which ovulation is the thing that makes you able to conceive. I hadn't been ovulating though. So that was not my journey. I had PCOS. I was diagnosed last summer. And I really did not think it was possible. So my plan in my head, my period is still so out of whack. This next year, 2024, is gonna be the month of really, really, really trying to get my health in order so that I can hopefully like do everything in my power to have kids one day. Hopefully as soon as possible. It's just, there was no trying because so basically like what the definition of trying is like, are you tracking your cycle? But for me, there's no cycle to track. I don't, you know what I mean? But at the same time, for example, I saw another question on here. Did you want to have kids now or wait? I know it was a shock. Congrats. And a lot of people, I was even getting comments like, you know, don't worry about it. Like, you know, you got this, guys, like as if it's something we didn't want. We were surprised, but in the best way ever. Like we wanted this more than anything. It's not something we discussed often just because we're just not like the type of people, like there's no point in discussing something that we think isn't gonna happen or, you know, like, so we didn't really talk about it often. We both knew we wanted kids, but we always like joked, like, not jokes, but we both were just like, yeah, this is probably not an ideal situation. And that's why if you watch the video of me telling Zach why he was as shocked as he was is so like technically we weren't actively trying. I'm not on birth control. I've been off birth control for like a year and a half now. I was about to say 2. Oh my gosh, Ash! You can't do that to mom. Like she has to sit too. She was here first, by the way. Oh my gosh, he literally just kicked me off. Yeah, that's better. If you want to be there, that like works out a lot better for both of us. Like I love you, but just why can't we both be on the couch? And so to answer your question even further, if we thought it was a possibility, if I'd been getting a normal cycle, we would have been trying. You know what I mean? But like, because we would have wanted kids, but we just did not think that was possible. Okay, so the next question is, what made you think you were pregnant if you always missed your periods? And this is huge because whenever I see like the videos on YouTube of like finding out I'm pregnant, you always see the people say like, oh my gosh, I'm 2 days late on my period. Like I haven't gotten a period for 3 days. I'm 3 days late. I've even seen videos where people are like, I'm 1 day late. And I'm like, what is that like? I have never had a cycle that is that regular where you could be 1 day late. Like that doesn't exist for me. But like I've tried tracking on like the Flow app and all of that. It's a mess because it's like, you should be getting your period. And then it was so, I mean, like, it was really upsetting when I would go into my Flow app and it would say, like, you are 100 days late on your period, you're 120 days late, 124, and that was so frustrating. I did get put on medicine, as you guys know, which I am so thankful I stuck it out. Everyone kept telling me, because it made me pretty sick, get off it, and just everything I read was like, first of all, the sickness won't last forever, and second of all, like, this really could get my period back, and I was willing to do anything. So I'm so grateful I stuck with the metformin. That was the medication and it doesn't make me sick anymore. But so what made me think I was pregnant? I am going to go more into depth on the real reason I tested when my mom visits, which she's going to be visiting in just a few days, because that is 100% the reason I decided to test. was something she told me that her sister, who had passed away several years ago, told her, essentially. It's crazy. It literally, I wouldn't believe it if it didn't happen to me, but that was truly the reason I decided to test. And then, so basically my mom had basically told me like, I think you're pregnant based on this. And then I was like, no, a week went by. I was going to a gala with Zach's work people, and I knew I was probably going to be drinking, probably going to be maybe even drinking a lot if I don't know many people. And so if there was ever even a sliver of a chance of me being pregnant, of course I would never want to drink. And so I remember I was laying on the couch reading a book, and I was experiencing cramps, which I didn't even know was a pregnancy symptom. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to know, because if I go to this gala and I drink, like, it just, if there's even a chance. And I always thought if I'm ever lucky enough to get pregnant or think I'm pregnant, I would love to capture it all on camera. I was so positive that the test was going to be negative that I didn't capture it. Like, when I picked up the camera, you see me say like, I got a very faint line on a test before, because I didn't even record that. That is how positive I was that it was going to be negative. Like, I would have turned that camera on if I thought it was a 1% chance of being positive, because just in case. But I was so sure that I just quickly took it and was literally going to toss it in the trash before, I think they tell you to wait 5 minutes. And I had Asher and I took it and was just like, I'm just tossing this because I just know it's negative. And then as I'm about to toss it, a line had already developed in like the 30 seconds. It was crazy. It was like an out of body experience. I was shaking so much. Like, the video I posted, the amount of things I've edited out, it was like a 25-minute extravaganza, but I realized people did not need to see all of that. So the next question kind of goes with this. Earliest pregnancy symptoms, were there any clues that you missed looking back? Oh my gosh, yes. I have a little note on my phone because I knew I would want to remember this. Okay, oh my gosh, okay. This like obviously isn't a symptom, but let me just say, it was very unlike me. You weren't comfy anymore. 2 days before I tested, I was reading a book, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, one of the best books ever. And I was reading about how LeBron James, years after they signed him, like Nike signed him, and they really took a chance on him, although it wasn't really that big of a chance. He was so freaking good in high school and all. But anyway, he got Phil Knight, the owner of Nike, like this really thoughtful gift for taking a chance on him. And that's it. That's the story. I'm reading it. It's like 4 a.m. I'm up with Asher. That was when he was getting up very early. And I'm just tears. I'm like, this is the nicest thing I've ever heard, okay? So I was like, that was weird, but whatever. Like, maybe I'm just really touched. Like, I just felt really emotional. Zach wakes up. Well, first of all, he's drinking his AG1, which normally doesn't have like a very big smell. In hindsight, I remember we were all the way across the kitchen from each other, and I was just like, AG1. Like, you don't normally smell it from across the kitchen. It's not that pungent. But I smelled it and just didn't really think twice. I was just like, oh wow, like his AG1 smells really strong today. And then I'm like, Zach, like, oh my gosh, I'd like listen to what I read in this book this morning. Just thinking it was like an interesting story. I'm telling him, I started tearing up, and like tears were coming out of my eyes. Like, literally crying without the sounds, all because LeBron James gifted Phil Knight something. Like, what? So I remember like thinking, I was like, oh my God, imagine I was pregnant right now. Like, what is happening to me? But it was a fleeting thought. Didn't think twice about it, right? So my biggest symptom, and I have written down 2 to 4 weeks. This is before I found out I was pregnant. I found out at like almost 6 weeks, I think, or right around 6 weeks. Cramping was huge. I cramped like no one else I've ever heard of. And then this one was so weird. Pins and needles in my feet. I mean, this could be a symptom, could not. 5 weeks, cramping got even worse. Stomach pain. I don't even really remember that. But yeah, I guess it got like, when I say stomach, like upper pain, queasiness, then nausea, back aches, great sense of smell. And the smell is the biggest joke on earth, because you are so sensitive. Like, if you were to like smell anything, you just would want to like throw up. And then you can smell everything. It's like a joke. Like, what do you mean I can smell everything? It was an absolute nightmare. So yeah, my smell, like, oh my gosh, I could smell things like across the room that you wouldn't normally. Zach, if he had like a little glass of bourbon across the room, I could smell it. And the worst part is, alcohol was disgusting to me. I went to my friend Sydney's wedding about a week before I tested, so I would have been 5 weeks pregnant. Had no idea, obviously. And I do remember that morning, I have written down, I was bloated. I tried on a dress for her wedding and it looked awful. Normally, like, I don't know, my body just normally didn't look like that. And I have to say, like, the bloating actually then ended up going down. But that morning I was like, I cannot wear this dress. I ended up wearing a big poofy dress that my aunt actually texted my mom asking if I was pregnant, not just because of the dress. She did say like, but Clancy's wearing a maternity dress, but also because the caption on my photo was talking about my son, Asher, my dog. So that confused her, I guess. But anyway, I actually was pregnant in that photo, little did I know. And at that wedding, so I didn't really want to drink. It was a morning wedding. I don't like drinking in the morning. It's just not my thing. But I was like, oh, let me order a screwdriver, vodka orange juice. Zach got me it, and I just remember I had like 2 sips and was just like, oh, like no. I was just like disgusted by it. I just put it down and didn't drink the rest of the wedding because yeah, it just didn't taste good to me. And alcohol, like to this day, like if I smell it, it's just disgusting to me. 6 weeks, I feel like I have the flu. I had body aches. I don't even remember that. I'm glad I wrote this down. And then, this is when the brown spotting started happening, which was awful because every single time I use the bathroom, which peeing a lot is one of the symptoms that is just crazy. I could drink, and it's way better now, but a couple of weeks ago even, I could drink like a sip of water and then somehow I would have to just pee. Like it didn't even make sense what was happening. And it'd be annoying because like I'd be trying to get rest or trying to just lay and I just constantly have to be in the bathroom, and it made me not want to drink water, which is awful because obviously you should. The brown spotting, yeah, every single time I went to that bathroom, which was, as we established, a lot, it just would be like, what's the toilet paper gonna look like? Like, it just was really scary. And everything I read online, you know, there were plenty of stories where people said, oh, it's fine, everything worked out for me. But for every story like that, there were many more in which things did not work out for that person. So when I went to the gyno, I saw in the chart after she diagnosed me with a threatened miscarriage, which basically just means there's a chance, like there's some symptoms indicating that this might happen or it might not. And it was just a waiting game, which was, not a fun time, obviously. It was really scary and gave me a lot of anxiety. But then 7 weeks is just when everything took a turn. Like, I know at 5 weeks, that's when like the queasiness began, but 7 weeks, I wrote nausea so bad all day, can't eat, want feeding tube. And I remember truly wanting a feeding tube because obviously you have to eat, but waking up every day and even just thinking to yourself, what can I eat, would just cause awful stomach problems. Like just the thought of food, and it just was awful. Like being like, all right, breakfast, lunch, dinner, like what am I going to do? 8 weeks, I wrote nausea sucks. I feel like I'm going to puke after eating. Morning sickness, don't know who named it that. It was all day. 3 out of 10 nausea. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm about to throw up right now. But 3 out of 10, like that's not pleasant at all. And then it would just spike. It would spike to a 9 or 10 where I would be in the toilet. I never actually did get sick though, which I'm grateful for, but also I got no relief. Like I've heard of a lot of people saying after they got sick, they got relief. That never happened to me. So that went all the way up until I think week 11. I started to realize I would get nauseous, but then I would have times throughout the day where I wasn't. And that was huge. But throughout this time, this is when I went on my fast food spiral. Oh my gosh, guys, I was in the drive-thru at McDonald's like all the time. Arby's was a classic. Like it's all I wanted, and now I don't even like really want to talk about it because I don't know why. Those foods just sound absolutely disgusting to me. Oh my gosh, another thing in hindsight though, this is like the biggest one that I've heard other people say. So before I found out I was pregnant, I drink a cup of coffee every single morning. I was pouring my cup of coffee and I kept noticing like, ooh, this just tastes like bad, like almost like acidic. And I was like, what the heck? I went so far as to research and like, did they change the formula? Because I've been drinking the same exact coffee for the longest time ever, like years, off and on, because I also am a tea person, but years I've been drinking this. And was researching, they didn't change the formula. I went so far as to ordered all these, because I normally drink Keurig, all these Nespresso pods. I broke the Nespresso out of storage and was like, I guess maybe I would like Nespresso now. Did the whole thing and it still tasted awful to me. And apparently that's a thing, that coffee tastes different when you are pregnant. It doesn't taste good. I've actually been off caffeine. I got off it when I was having the brown spotting, just in case that could, I don't know. I just wanted to be as safe as possible. And I have to say, like, I want to get back on caffeine. Like, it would be nice, just 1 cup a day. Someone asked, what's been the most shocking thing about pregnancy so far? I feel like, honestly, just the anxiety. I just always assumed, and I just was always like, oh my gosh, if only I could just get pregnant. Like, that is a dream come true. Once you get pregnant, it's just all sunshines and rainbows. And I'm not even talking about the symptoms. Like, I would go through 10 times that for my baby. I'm talking about feeling like you're like, I don't even know, like you're like holding on by like a thread. Like, the whole threatened miscarriage thing was crazy, and just being like, will everything work out? My camera died in case the setup looks a little different, but how many kids have you and Zach envisioned for your future? We've always said 2, like 2 or 3. We definitely have said we'd be open to 3, but leaning more toward 2. We both come from families of 2 kids. I mean, obviously, I think you just have to like play everything by ear. Are you nervous about not feeling maternal? Not at all. Like, seriously, from like the second I found out I was pregnant, I'm just like, I love this thing more than anything. I mean, like, I love it as much as Asher, basically, because I'm looking at him right now. He's so cute. Like, he's my son. People have claimed that I'm going to like love my baby more than my dog, which really frightens me, because I'm just like, Asher is just like my everything. But no, that's genuinely not a fear. Oh, but I will say, yes, in college, or like even just, 4 years ago, I was thinking, I'm like, is this for me? Like, is motherhood for me? I've never been someone who like loves babies. Like, I've never like, let me hold your baby. I can't remember the last baby I held. I don't know if I've ever held a baby. Like, if anyone ever asks, I always say no thank you. Like, I just don't, I don't know. But for my baby, like, I'm very excited and confident. What are you most excited for or nervous for when the baby arrives? I just feel like the unknown, and the fact that everyone's experience is so different. Someone can tell you like, this is what works for me, this is what you gotta do, and then your baby is just like, nah, like that's not gonna be our journey. Like, I'm just gonna cry all night. So I'm very nervous for the sleep deprivation. I have no idea what that level of deprivation is like. I only know about, obviously, when I was a news reporter waking up at 2 a.m. Was not feeling too good about that schedule. I was very, very tired all the time. But that's nothing compared to what it's going to be. So I'm nervous for that, but I'm equally excited. What do your birth plans look like? Hospital, home birthing center, etc. Hospital. My anxiety is way too high to be anywhere but a hospital. And by the way, like, I know home births are amazing, and the percentages of them being successful, meaning you don't have to get rushed to a hospital or anything, it's like so high. It's so great. But just knowing me and what would make me feel most safe is a hospital. I know a lot of people say they feel most comfortable for a home birth, but your girl has too much anxiety for that. Are you going to deliver the baby in Ohio or New York? Ohio. Downtown Cincinnati. There's just no way I would ever do the whole New York thing. I know some people like to deliver in like their hometown or something, but like, this is my home. Like, this is where I'm going to all of my doctor's appointments, all of that. Who do you think the more strict parent will be? My guess is Zach for some reason. Well, we've kind of discovered this because once we got Asher, I knew it. I knew this is how it was going to be. It's me. It is me. The reason I've known this, like, I am very, I don't know what the word is. Like, let's not mess around here. Like, if you mess up, like, I'm going to guide you in the right direction. And I also, like, I'm just such a firm believer. When Asher, like, does something wrong, he needs to know he did it wrong. And, like, we're not just going to laugh about it. Like, obviously, I feel like I give him so much love. And that's the thing. I balance it out. I think I definitely, like, give Asher more, like, affection and love. Like, I'm more like that. But I definitely can be a little harder on him. I don't know. Like, Zach definitely does, he definitely is strict to a degree, but I'm more like the disciplinarian. And especially when it's like my child, because I've obviously babysat before and been around kids. I've never been the person like, oh, I hope the kids like me. Like, I'm gonna like let them do whatever. No, if you're not respecting me, like, we have a problem. Like, I don't care about being liked. I would like to think I always am liked. Like, I'm a nice person, but just please respect me and I will respect you. But then once I got Asher, I realized, oh, when it's my own kid, that's when I can really, because I'm never gonna yell at someone else's kid, but like when it's mine, like that's when we can do that. But hopefully we'll be a nice combination. I think you really need to be communicative about that, because you never want to end up in a situation where one parent is the fun parent and the other parent is like the wet blanket or whatever. So I think you really need to be on the same team with that. Even growing up, my mom was like definitely more strict. My dad like didn't care what the heck we did, but my dad was never like going behind my mom's back or saying anything bad about my mom or like trying to be the cool parent. If it ever came down to it, he was always just like, it's whatever mom says. And he was always like totally 100% on her side, which is how I hope it will be for us as well. But Woo! I feel like I have been rambling for so long. I feel like there's just like so much to say. Oh my gosh, one thing people asked is about cravings. Guys, I have been like an animal. Some of the things I've been eating, it doesn't even make sense because first of all, one of my first cravings was Arby's and I had never had Arby's in my life. Let me know why. Let me know how. Chicken Caesar salads were in the beginning. Craving my allergens in general was a huge struggle at one point where I was just obsessed with like, I just want cheese, I just want milk, like, or things with cheese and milk in them. And I started eating those things and then I just realized like, I have to stop doing this because it's making me so sick. A different kind of sick than the pregnancy sick. Like, it's like a painful sick. That's like how my allergy is. Pancakes, I was making homemade chocolate chip pancakes for a while that were really helping. Chocolate chip muffins, there was one day, because in the beginning I just really couldn't eat a lot, where this was my entire diet for the day. And I'm pretty sure I did this a few days. I had 2 chocolate chip muffins for breakfast, 3 chocolate chip muffins for lunch, and 2 chocolate chip muffins for dinner. That was my entire day. I think I threw in half a banana somewhere, but like, I was so worried about like how awful I was eating and not giving this baby any nutrients, but my doctor like said like it's understandable, like it's okay. My cereal addiction was crazy. I was going to the store every few days and just getting a new cereal, everything from Special K to Cocoa Krispies. We had Cheerios, Kashi, like literally so many. Ravioli, spaghetti. These are things I have not had since I was like 7. Like, I hate pasta, and like now I love pasta, specifically macaroni and cheese. Pasta salad quest. I was on a quest to find the best pasta salad, but I had to lay back on that. A lot of them did contain eggs or my allergens. A lot of people were saying like, eat first thing in the morning. They kept crackers by their bed. That's the one thing that helped. No, like no. Crackers they were not a good thing for me. But anyway, I hope all of this is like not me coming across as like ungrateful or anything. I cannot emphasize this enough. What I went through, it wasn't anything, but like the nausea and all, I would go through that 10 times worse, like in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, it's so worth it. And I am so grateful. So thank you guys so much for all of your sweet words and like your advice and your kind messages. It has seriously meant the world. And I'm so glad I get to go on this journey with you guys. So I'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming in the next video with a vlog. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.